Hello, this is Wmpyr here on the topic of knife defense once again, and I'm going to try to map it out as clear as possible for you guys. So what I'm recommending here is the force-to-force block, and we're going to do the force-to-force block with the bag, so a defense bag, whatever you carry in your everyday life. So I'm recommending that you carry a bag, some kind of bag for your uh, everyday life when you go out. So you're going to use that in a self-defense situation. And the technique that you're going to use is called the force-to-force block. So the question is, why the defense bag? Well, because um, it's probably the largest thing that you could carry and not look weird. And at the same time, it's highly customizable, so you don't need to put in a bulletproof, you know, plate in there, but you do want something hard enough that it's going to retain shape and not give, because that give means, if it gives a couple of inches or even a couple of centimeters, that can be life or death right there. So we don't want to be playing that game. So you want something hard in there that is going to stop the blade. You want to stop their attack. And like I said, it is highly customizable. You could put stuff on the bag, like false set of keychains. So false set of keys that you don't use anymore, you could put on there. And when you smack somebody with that bag, if it hits their hand, it can really hurt. So that can only help, even if it's only a mere distraction. But that's a solid distraction right there. If you don't believe me, try it. Swing your keys onto the hard part of your hand and just smack it and see how that feels. It does not feel good. And the technique is the force-to-force block. Why? This is important. This is so important because the force-to-force block is a unique technique that when you do it, you are not only moving the attack out of the way, so you're deflecting the attack essentially, but at the same time, you're moving away from the attack. And that's so important because what we're trying to do here is we want distance. Yeah. So if the other guy has a knife and he's coming at you, the most important thing is distance. I want as much distance as possible. And the force-to-force block encourages that. Other techniques, like if you throw a punch or a palm strike and you're stepping into it, you're doing the opposite. You're taking away distance. So you're making it, even if you hit them or whatever, you're making it better for them. Now they can reach you. They can hit your other targets. You're making it easier for them. Why would you do that? The more distance, the harder it is for them to attack you. You are disengaging with them. And that's exactly what you want. There's no fight. If you disengage completely, there is no fight. And that's why the force-to-force block works, but it does not work if you're coming from a sport perspective. So whether it's fencing or whether it's MMA, any kind of combat sport like boxing, Muay Thai kickboxing, judo, if you disengage, there's no fight. And so, the sport does everything it can to give you a penalty for that. But the judges are definitely not going to be in your favor if you just keep disengaging. They go, why are you here? You're not fighting. This is a competition where you're supposed to fight. You're supposed to show your fighting skills. Well, in a real life situation, I don't care about that, right? I want to survive. I want to escape. So once again, what is your goal? My goal is to survive and escape. And in order for me to do that, the more distance, the better. The force-to-force block helps me gain that distance. I want to run away from a safe place. If I run away from too close, all I'm doing is giving them my back, making it easier for them to puncture my lungs or who knows what. or take me down. So I want to run away from a good spot. A good spot is what? From a nice and safe place, meaning I have distance. And once I have distance, their combo's not going to work. Their attacks don't work. They have to chase me down. I mean, I have a much better chance of running away. I want as much distance as possible. The force-to-force block encourages that. So it's the perfect technique for this. Okay, now, that being said, I realize there are times that you cannot go to long range. You just can't. So in that case, I'm going to say this. Then what's left is medium range, close range, and ground range. And out of the three, the best one is close range for self-defense. Okay. So it's either long range or close range. And the moment that I say that, and no matter how much black and white I make it clear that long range is better, my students will always want to go to close range. You know, we could be doing this in a park where it's wide open space and they still try to do close range stuff. They want to fight. The techniques in close range are more interesting than long range. So everyone wants to do close range, but it's like, no, you should really focus on the long range, which is the force-to-force block. And what do you do after the force-to-force block? Well, it's the poison cloud. And the poison cloud is another one that works with this because you don't step forward doing the poison cloud. You do the poison cloud, so you make this barrier with your attacks that they don't want to come in there. Or if they're close to you, they want to back off because of this poison cloud that you're making. You know, boom, 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 boom. And I don't need to step forward. I can do it while stepping away. So if I step forward, I take away distance once again. But I want as much distance as possible. So poison cloud works. Force-to-force block, poison cloud. Those are the two techniques that you need for long range. And that's it. And that's what I recommend. And do it with your defense bag. Customize your defense bag. And that's it. You're done. Okay. But just in case, for that rare chance that you made a bad move, you know, you're in a confined space or you're in a place where you just can't. Okay, so then you have to go to close range, but never forget that long range is 100%, 200% better than close range. But close range is definitely better than medium range, okay? Because medium range is where you fight. So it's knife fighting, knife boxing, knife fencing, whatever you want to call it. It's where you're fighting. And we don't want to fight because fighting just comes down to who's the better fighter. And who cares? This is survival. This should be about survival. This is not about me trying to find out who has better fighting skills. If I win this, do I get a medal? Do I get a belt? Do I get money? No. I'm just risking my life for no reason. And even if I win, so-called win, and I hurt the other person, then I'm looking at jail time. So it's a lose-lose situation. Don't fight is what I'm saying. Why fight? There's no purpose, right? So you want to avoid fighting. So that's why we go to close range. Okay. What's up with close range? Well, close range is where I could neutralize their weapon. And that is my goal. I want to neutralize their weapon so they can't use it. Alright? I don't want to fight and see who's better. No, I just want to make it to where they cannot use their weapon. And police officers do this all the time. You see them go up against an assailant and like 3 of them will jump the guy, and you know, if the guy has a weapon, they pin his arm and the guy can't use that arm anymore, and they're putting their whole body weight, and there's, like I said, there's like 3 officers holding the guy down, and the guy can't use the weapon no more. That's what they're looking for, okay? Neutralize, not beat the person, not defeat them or show them who has better fighting skills. None of that. It's about making it to where they cannot use that weapon. And that's exactly what I'm looking for, okay? So we also see this in combat sports like boxing, okay, where a person is taking too much damage in the boxing ring, so then boom, they go into the clinch, they hug the person, and now they're smothering the person, and the person can't punch. You're taking away their weapon, and they rest. Okay, so that is done in boxing all the time. Okay, that's a valid defense. So that we're doing kind of the same thing. We're taking away their offensive weapon, whether it's a punch or a knife or, you know, something else, brass knuckles, whatever. We are neutralizing their weapon. That is the goal. That's why we're going to the clinch. Now, the clinch is heaven and hell. So I do need to say this, make this clear, because, for example, you've seen where a person rushes at another person, grabs them, and repeatedly repeatedly stabs them with a knife. Sewing machine. Once again, Dog Brothers is where I heard that first, so I'm calling it Dog Brothers terminology. Yeah, they do like 28 unanswered knife stabs, you know, something like that. Just brutal, right? So it is a place where you can get finished. Look at a hockey fight. They grab the jersey so they can't get away, and they boom, boom, slug them. Sometimes put the hockey jersey over the head. Now they can't even see, and boom, and they can't get away. So it's a place where you could get finished for sure. But if you go in on your terms, like you're the one controlling, then it's a place where you could neutralize their weapon, and that's what we're looking for in the clinch. In medium range, it's back and forth, a lucky hit, and it can change the outcome. So we don't want that. We don't want fighting. So that's why we skip medium range. There's a lot of instructors that show for self-defense against a knife, you know, they'll jump in to close range. So they're saying kind of what I'm saying, which is long range, be too far away or too close. Don't be in medium range. So they're saying the same thing that I'm saying right now, right? But in order to go in at the right time and block the arm, in order to do that, you need timing. So that's where your knife fighting skills come in. Yes, that's where your kickboxing skills, where you learn how to, you know, see the punch coming, and you could time it, right? You could time it with a counter. You could time it with a parry. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, that comes from fighting. So that's why I do train in fighting arts, and I recommend fighting, is to learn the timing so that you can go in to block it, to neutralize, okay? So in a real life situation, I don't plan to use the fighting skills, even though I learn it. It's only so that I know the timing of when I could go in safely. So think of it as a double leg takedown in MMA, right? If you don't know stand-up striking, then you're just going to go for a double leg takedown whenever you think is good, and you have no idea when that is, really. So you're blind, and you could go right in to a flying knee and get knocked out. So obviously, it would benefit you, even though you're not going to beat the other person at stand-up striking, to know stand-up striking just so you know the timing of when to go in. And that's what I'm saying here, okay? So once you go in there and you block their weapon, right? You go in to close range, you block the weapon, then what, right? What I'm seeing is all these instructors teach from there. They're doing headbutts, they're doing knee to the groin, they're doing, palm strikes. It's ridiculous because you're going right back into fighting. Well, why would you do that? Why'd you even go into close range? Because you want to fight them in close range? And now we're playing the same game. Who is better at the Muay Thai clinch? Who is better at dirty boxing? Who is better at close range fighting? I don't care. Once again, that's pointless. Because if you hit them, you have to understand they could hit you back. And all of these instructors ignore that. They don't really hit, but they're showing, so they demonstrate, they hit the student, and then the student from there like loses their balance, and the instructor goes into a knife disarm or a knife counter, and it's ridiculous because in real life, you headbutt the guy, the other guy's headbutting you back. You knee him the balls, he's kneeing you back in the balls, and on the street he's probably bigger, stronger, and meaner. So now you're trading shots with a bigger, stronger, meaner guy. It doesn't make sense. So the whole purpose, like I said, is I'm not here to see who's better at clinch fighting. No, I'm here to neutralize the weapon. So I block that weapon. So then I have to commit to that. Now that we're in the clinch, I am able to grab solid. So I'm here to solidify that grab because this doesn't cut it. This doesn't cut it. They'll break free and they'll stab me, they'll cut me. So this is not enough. So once I get to here, right, now I have to really secure this. How do you secure it? Well, I mean, just look at, what is it, what the cowboys do with a calf, a small calf. Do you think that just grabbing the calf by the ear and its hair, just grabbing it like that is enough? No, you can't control a calf that way. What do? They get in a headlock and they put their whole body into it and they wrestle it down to the ground. That's what you're going to be doing. Okay. So I don't care if you're, you're like, but I'm just an old lady. Well, you wrap it up with your whole body. I'm going to tell you, they're not going to be able to, during that time, they won't be able to cut you or stab you. And maybe that's all you need, is to just hold on for dear life until help comes in. Okay? I'm not telling you to beat them up. All I'm saying is make it to where they cannot use that weapon on you. And we're talking about a knife here. So you got to really wrap it up and hold it like you're holding a calf or a giant cobra by the head. So you put a blanket over it and you're wrestling it down and you're putting all your weight on it and keeping it down, because the moment you let go, it's going to come out and bite you. So that is exactly what we're doing here. And I have a whole program called the FIEND method that I designed that does this. But that's the idea. And so once you go from medium range into close range, where boom, you're blocking, you're jamming, and you're pinning their weapon, right? That I call clashing. Okay, so that's clashing. I don't want to be in medium range. I'm not here to knife fight. So boom, I do that. I go clashing, and then from clashing, I'm going to go into the FIEND, which is, like I said, it's wrestling down that calf. It's making sure that they cannot use the knife on me, right? And my point here is so many, 99% or 100% of what I've seen other instructors teach is they're teaching, once they go into close range, they're teaching striking. And they're not really teaching securing this. Maybe even if you grab it with two hands, what are you going to do? Tug of war? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And once again, you're tug-of-warring with someone that is bigger, stronger, and meaner than you. No, you don't want to tug-of-war. I want to turn into a sack of potatoes, so if they are trying to tug-of-war, they're moving around my whole body. So they're going to get tired. That's what I want. I want to glue myself to their arm, and they cannot no longer use that. That's what I'm looking to do, is to neutralize. Okay, and like I said, from there is I have the FIEND program. But anyway, I hope that makes sense. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.